Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Alien vs. Predator Thermal Vision Warrior Alien from Neca. Now you guys know Neca's been making tons of Alien and Predator figures for ages and ages and ages, and I thought it would be a good time for me to review them. So I'm going to start looking at least some of them, and I think you guys are probably going to like these because I am not an Alien or a Predator fan especially, but these figures are really good. I was not expecting to get what I got when I got these, especially given the price point. These guys cost around the same price as Marvel Legends, and they're huge compared to them, and loaded with sculpt and paint. And this one, obviously not so much paint, but most of them, obviously the normal figures are. So let's get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 24 centimeters tall, which makes him just about 9.5 inches. And he's not perfectly straight up and down, but I don't think you're going to want to pose him that way, so that's why I measured him in that way. So he's got a lot of size to him. Obviously, he's a little bit lanky, but it's an appealing figure. And now, like I said, I'm not into Aliens at all. I like Predator more than Aliens, but I like this figure. I can't help but like it because of all the sculpt work and the overall cool look. It's very neon green, which is nice, and if you didn't notice on the packaging, it said it glows in the dark. Now here is something to note. The plastic itself does not glow in the dark. It's just the paint job, and they did that so that they could have this effect where it looks like the thermal vision, which is a really cool idea. And for the most part, it works really well. However, any of the spots without the glow-in-the-dark paint just don't show up at all. So I think it might have been better, and maybe too costly, I don't know, to have glow-in-the-dark everywhere, but just using the paint make it subtle in some places and more obvious in others, which is what they were going for the most part. You can see the brighter yellow and darker spots. And like I said, it mostly works, and it's just not perfect. It's worth noting. Since it is marketed as a glow-in-the-dark figure, you should know that. The rest of it is this kind of translucent green plastic, which it basically mixes two things I love, glow-in-the-dark stuff and clear plastic. So I like it a whole lot just on that merit alone. Now let's talk about the articulation, because you can see it's loaded with sculpted detail. I could just probably point out every little detail, but there's no point. So, articulation. The head is on, I think it's a double ball peg. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with these guys, and I haven't taken them apart, but maybe it's just a really effective single ball peg. You can lean it back pretty far. You can lean it forward pretty far, side to side a little bit in full rotation. So definitely it's going to be enough for whatever you need to do with it. I just don't know what it technically is on the inside. The jaw is articulated, and of course you have the second mouth that can come out. So you can pose it with the mouth closed, with the mouth open, or with the little guy. Sometimes it's a trick to get him out of there, but once you do, you can pose him with that thing too. So that's a nice feature. The torso is on, it feels like a single ball peg, but he leans really far back. If you want to, you can lean him all the way back or pretty far forward, side to side. It leans a little bit. Actually, it leans a lot, more than I expected, so that's pretty cool. And then it rotates, so really good range there. We have the fixed hinge for the shoulder, so you have the hinge which brings the arm all the way out to horizontal, which is really nice. You can rotate the arm all the way around, although it will have to go at an angle due to the shoulder area, which is fine. I'm not too worried about that. The sculpt is what it is. You have a double jointed elbow, which gives you really good range. Almost 180 degree range on that elbow, so that's really cool. And the nice thing about that is it also has your bicep swivel in there, so you can really pose the arm however you want. You have a rotating hinge for the wrist, so you can swivel it around and use the hinge, and then you have another hinge for the fingers. For the hips, it's your standard ball hinge with a thigh swivel, so you can bring the leg forward, you can bring the leg out. Obviously, it can't go too far due to the sculpt. That's the way it is. I mean, you can't do anything about that. But you can bring it all the way forward, and you can swivel it around. For the knees, it's basically the same type of joint as the elbow. You have the double hinge, which works really nicely. Unfortunately, the paint wasn't carried over onto the inside part of the hinge, so that will affect the look a little bit. But you still have your swivel and your really nice range. So, you know, it's a little bit of a trade-off, I think is okay. And then we have our double ball peg for the ankle, which provides pretty good range, more than I was expecting, so that's pretty nice. And you have a little bit of a hinge for the Tootsie. You have a little bit of a hinge down there, which can be effective. So, do I recommend this figure? If you're collecting the Aliens figures, then yes, I do. And if you're just collecting things that remind you of the 90s, then yes, I do. It's a really cool looking figure. It's a lot of fun to have. And as a nice little bonus, I didn't really count this as articulation, but the tail is bendable. So you can bend it. It's got a nice wire in it, and it's a nice soft plastic, so it'll pretty much hold whatever pose you want. I'm not sure if it's supposed to swivel here. I mean, it's a separate piece, so that might just be the result of that, but you can rotate it around if you need to. But the tail does bend, and I think that's awesome. So I do recommend this figure. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it. I just noticed the hips do seem to connect a little bit there, and they can be a little floppy. It didn't seem to be that way when I opened it, but maybe it loosened up a little. So you'll have to be aware of that. Be careful about that. But otherwise, it's pretty good. I like it. I'm happy to have this. I like it a lot. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, video games, TV shows, all kinds of fun stuff. So come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.